What's up, everybody, and welcome to What's Up, Bree. This is episode number 10, which is titled 20s. If you are a returning listener or viewer, I greatly appreciate you and welcome back. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is a podcast where we talk about anything and everything. The reason why I wanted to talk about 20s is because I just turned 29 recently, so I am knocking on 30. And I feel like the 20s from even 18 until 29, right before you hit 30, those are pivotal moments in your life. A lot happens. It's okay, we were young, we were kids, we were teenagers, we were in high school. 20s kind of, I guess, prepares you for adulthood. Is more so when you're learning, making mistakes, losing people, gaining people, seeing who's really there for you, things like that. So I wanted to personally talk about some experiences that I went through my 20s. And then, of course, you guys know I love to do polls. So I asked my followers to join in. Let me know some things that you went through, some accomplishments you had, any and everything. So one of the first questions that I wanted to ask is because this is a big one. Everybody, especially in my age group when we were younger, it's okay, I can't wait to turn 21 so I can go get me some liquor so I can drink. I wanted to ask my followers, did you wait until you were 21 to start drinking? Me personally, I had a fake ID. I think I was either 19 or 20. So I definitely did not wait until I was 21. The funny thing about my fake ID is the only thing that me and that girl had in common was our skin complexion. I'm 5'11". She was 5'4". At that time, I was way slimmer, really skinny. So I was probably 145 pounds, maybe 150. She was 200 and something pounds. I got away with that fake ID for about a year and a half. Don't know how, but I did. One night, though, I was with a group of friends and we went to 618, which is now Element. And I was so mad because everybody had went out that night and I usually go there. The bouncer was not fucking with me. He looked at the ID and was like, dude, come on now. You know I can't let you in with this ID. And it was so messed up because the rest of my friends were 21 at the time. So it's they're standing in the doorway. Everybody got dressed. We were about to go out, have a good time. And I'm the only person that could not get in the club. Unfortunately, I was not one of those friends to where I was if I can't get in, I'm about to ruin y'all night. I had somebody come pick me up and I went home. But no, I did not wait till I was 21 to start drinking. Back then, I was kind of on a Wiz Khalifa little mode thing. And of course, he was drinking Bombay. I know a lot of people are you was drinking gin. Yes, I was drinking gin. And I blacked out one night off of that, which made me stop drinking it. But Bombay was my choice of liquor. And of course, everybody was drinking Amsterdam. All these cheap ass liquors that could basically mess your stomach up. Anywho, 15% of my followers said yes. I waited until I was the legal age to drink. I waited until I was 21. I didn't have anybody sneak me liquor, go buy me liquor, didn't have a fake ID. You guys don't know what you're missing. When you sneak and do something, it tends to be better than when you do it when you're supposed to. Anywho, 85% of my followers were just like me. Either they had a fake ID or maybe they had parents that were okay with it. Hey, as long as you're drinking around me or in a safe place is what they call it, I don't have an issue with this. So yeah, definitely did not wait. Another thing that I wanted to ask, and I feel this is really big, especially in today's times, because a lot of people have this debate on whether or not you need to go to college. I know some people feel as if it's not as important. There's people out here who never went to college and they are making more than people who did go to college. And they just feel as if you can maneuver and find your way through life without a college education. I personally did not go to college straight from high school. That is something that I wouldn't say regret. I kind of wish I would have thought a little bit more smarter or longer on that decision to actually get the full college experience versus just going to a technical college back home. So that way I could break away from my hometown, meet new people, kind of put myself in a predicament and element to where, okay, I have to get to know people. I have to think outside of my element. I have to do this and that. Because, of course, everybody knows once you're pulled from your comfort zone, you kind of are able to peak and reach heights that you didn't know that you have. And you don't know how strong you have to be until you actually have no other choice but to be. So that's one of the things that I kind of wish that I would have did was went straight to college. So 65% say yes. I went straight to college after high school. That was the plan. That was the goal. I stuck to it. 35% were like me, no, I didn't go straight to college. I know some of the people that answered the question, they went to college later and got their degrees, things of that nature. So, yeah, I guess it's all depending on how you feel. I've had this discussion with my friend 50 million times over because she has a master's and she's not working in her field as of right now. Like she said, I love my field. I love my degrees. I love having a piece of paper, but that's just not where I am right now. But like she said, if she ever chooses to not do what she's doing right now, she does hair, I still have my degrees to fall back on. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of people don't think about. Yeah, college can sometimes not prepare you for real life. Nothing can really prepare you for real life. You do have to worry about, depending on what you're going to school for, it could cost you a lot, give you a bunch of student loans. But we all know student loans don't really affect your credit now when you're applying for things. So it really doesn't really matter in that aspect. But it is something that you will always, always, always have to fall back on is your degrees. Nobody can take that from you. School is hard work. I watched my mom go through school. Again, I watched my friend. When I met her, she was a year away from getting her master's in psychology. And just watching the hard work that you have to put into it, the dedication, the sleepless nights and things of that nature, it is a big accomplishment. And that's one thing that you have to praise people on that do actually take that step and go to school. Another thing that I wanted to say, because this is very important, do you have the same friends from your age 20 to where you are currently? Are you around the same people? I personally would say when I was younger, like 20, 21, 22, of course, I was on a club scene, I was kicking it, I was having fun, and I had a lot of quote unquote friends. Now that I'm looking back on it, I wouldn't say we were necessarily friends, more so kind of like associates or just people that like to go out and enjoy each other and have a good time. Not everybody I feel like deserves the friend title. I have a couple friends that I was always cool with from high school. My best friend, Taylor. A lot of people don't hear about her or know about her because we kind of live two different lives. But met her in my 20s. She's still around. We still talk to each other on Instagram. Birthdays, we make sure to reach out to each other. It's one of those things to where we don't have to talk often. But when we do talk, it's like we never missed a beat. My friend Bria, we are still friends. That's a 15-year friendship. So I feel like when you're 20s, the people that you do meet, it's always good to still have that group around you because it's like, okay, we watched each other grow. We watched each other, go through whatever it is that we went through. But sometimes you outgrow people and it's okay. So I personally don't have a lot of friends that I had back in my 20s. Some are still around, probably like a good 3 or 4. But it's like 50-50 for me, I guess. So 67% say yes, the same people that I went through my 20s with, whether it was 20, 21, 22, 23, etc. Those are the same people that I have now. That is my tribe. That is my family. We still rocking. And 33% said no. Again, some people just outgrow people. When you're friends with somebody, when you're a little bit younger, things change as far as what you want out of life, whether it's a career, family-wise, or maybe you and that person just realize, okay, we don't really mesh. Things change, things happen, it's okay. One thing that I wanted to ask also was, do you have kids? Did you have your kids in your 20s? 56% said yes and 44% said no. I am a part of the 44% that does not currently have kids. Again, I am 29. I know a lot of people, the $1 million question is for people that are almost pushing 30 is, well, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to have kids? Let me just say that's rude. People have reasons as to why they don't have children at the moment, and you never know. It may not be a thing of they don't want kids right now. Some people have PCOS. Some people, cervixes can't handle kids. Some people go through miscarriages and things of that nature. So when you meet somebody who's either 30 or pushing into 30 and they don't have children, the worst thing that you can say to them is, well, why don't you have kids yet? That is a very big step in life. Kids are definitely need to be loved properly, first and foremost. A lot of people don't understand that. They need a lot of attention. And some people, it's okay to be, I guess, selfish, quote unquote. If you are one of those people to where, hey, I just want to live my life right now. I just want to do me. I don't want to have to worry about babysitters or worry about another little person right now. So I would just prefer to wait until I'm a little bit more grounded in life. So again, if you have friends or family members that are 30 or pushing 30 and they don't have kids yet, don't ask them when or why. Just wait on it. Let them make their decision. But again, I'm part of the 44%. 56% said, yes, I have my kids in my 20s. And one thing that I always thought about that is when people are like, oh, she's too young to have kids, things of that nature. The good thing about that is if you did have your kids when you were younger, now that you're older and getting into your 30s, your kids are at that age to where they can be self-sufficient, to where if they're hungry, they can probably fix themselves something to eat. And just watching my sister with my nephew, he's 11, it's a cool experience. He's now in martial arts. He does football, things of that nature. And just seeing them interact with each other and seeing how little he was at that point and where they are now, and they've grown together. She's grown up with him pretty much. It's actually kind of cute to see. So, yeah. And then, of course, I followed up with a question that referred to that. Not saying you guys don't want your kids, laugh out loud, but do you wish you would have waited? Because, again, there is that stigmatism of, oh, don't have a kid while you're young, you're ruining your life, you're not going to be able to accomplish this and that. And we all know that. A lot of people I know are single mothers as well. They've been able to still fulfill and follow their dreams, whether it was school, whether it was entrepreneurship, whether it was just making a way for their kids. They go to bat for them. They figure out ways. And that's one thing that I can say about people that have kids young. I've noticed that they have a different type of hustle about them, because it's not just them that they're worried about. They have other mouths or a mouth to feed. So they make sure that whatever way they can, they're going to make sure their child is fully taken care of to the most extremes. So 54% said, yes, I kind of wish I would have waited, gave myself a little bit more time. I know it can be rough when you have kids young, because it's a possibility that the person that you did have a child with, you may not marry or grow with or stay with in the near future. And let's just all be honest. Everybody wants to have a family. I don't think realistically when people have kids, they want to be in a co-parenting situation. Not saying that it's a bad thing, but I'm pretty sure once you have kids, depending on the situation, you're more so thinking, okay, we're going to have kids, which will possibly lead to marriage, which will possibly lead to us raising our kids together until they grow up. 46% said, no, my kids are blessings. They didn't stop me from anything that I wanted to accomplish. I'm glad I had them in my 20s, and it was a great experience. So another question that I wanted to ask, because this is really big, because again, things change when you get older. Things can change. Like they say, a year can change your life. 30 days can change your life. So one thing I wanted to ask, are you still in the same career field as you were when you first turned 20 to now? 19% said yes, like whatever career was, whether it was retail, entrepreneurship, working at a customer service, whatever it was, yes, I am still in that field. It's something I've been doing for years and I enjoy it. 81% said no. I personally am not. I've done pretty much any and everything. If you know my friends, they be like, dude, you've pretty much worked everywhere. And that's one thing that I do like, is because I've been able to, I guess, experience different people. I've worked in retail. I've worked in banking. I worked in customer service. I was an operations lead before, so dealing with inventory. And it's good to kind of pick up on different skills, because when you're put in certain settings, you're able to kind of maneuver around or figure things out on your own. But I personally, of course, as you guys can see now, I'm doing podcasts. I'm going to be selling hair soon. I kind of got out of the whole traditional job thing. I have been working since I was 16. So it's like now I'm more so kind of just weeding into not working for somebody else and more so working for myself. So, yep, we'll update you on how that's going. I love doing my podcast so far, so we'll see. The next question that I wanted to ask, do you feel as if you have the same taste in women or men as you did now from age 20? 15% said yes. The same type of guy or girl that I was attracted to or liked back then is the same type of person that I am attracted to and I like now. I like what I like, and that's it. 85% said no. I am definitely a part of the 85%. I look back on some of my relationships that I had in my younger 20s, especially to now, and it's like, girl, what the hell was you thinking? So I'm not going to get too deep into that, but I don't have the same taste. I've changed. I guess you could say I'm more reserved now. And then back then, I don't even really think that I was more so looking for or thinking about the future as much as I probably should have. You know, dating to me was fun back then. I like to go on dates. I like to go out to eat. I like to meet new people. I like to experience different things. So it's kind of like I really didn't have, not a type, but more so I was dating. Let's just say that. But I don't have the same taste in men as I did then that I do now. It's totally different. So one thing that I wanted to ask also was, if you could pick an age from 20 to 29 to relive, what would you choose and why? So somebody said 20 and I would have finished college, which it's never too late. So if you want to go back to that person that answered that, or if you already did, go ahead and accomplish that. Is that something that was a dream or goals of yours? Again, it's never too late. You don't necessarily have to take the traditional route. Again, like the question that I asked before, as far as going to school when you're 18 and finishing by 22, 21. My mom went and got her master's degree when she was, I think, 32, and it changed her life. So if that's something that you didn't accomplish back then, you still have the opportunity now. Somebody said 23, I was so lit. College grad, living in Atlanta, single and ready to mingle, traveling, and etc. That sounds fun. Living in Atlanta at 23, because Atlanta was definitely, it's popping now, but it was popping back then for real. 27, so they can get to be with their dad again. I know a lot of people who have lost their parents. That is kind of like a big, big, big struggle. Because of course you never want to have to bury your parents. Realistically, you don't want to have to, even though we know we're supposed to outlive them. That is something that kind of hurts and changes you. So I can totally understand that. Somebody said, nah, I'm good where I'm at. Somebody said 23, but they didn't explain why. Somebody said none. I personally feel like each year has its own purpose, which prepares you for your glow up, which is true. I feel like I'm not one of the people that wants to regret things. Do I think about some things and how I could have probably did them a little bit differently? Yes. But I do definitely believe, like, wherever you are now, everything that happened before then is what kind of got you to where you were going. And you don't want to, like, everybody says, oh, I wish I had a time machine. What if you had a time machine, you went back and you changed some things, and then you ended up getting to the certain point that you were at, and you lost out on some things that you would ultimately miss. So that's one thing that you definitely have to think about. Somebody said 22, 23, but they didn't say why. Another person said 25 and did not say why. Somebody said 21, didn't say why. Somebody said 22 and did not say why. I don't think you guys were listening or reading the second part of this question, but it is okay. I appreciate you guys for answering anyway. Somebody said 20. Laugh out loud. I didn't understand how pivotal your early 20s are until later down the line. So I am not going to speak on that until I get to another question, but I feel the same exact way. Your 20s are important. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, you're young, but they are definitely important to what you want to do later on in life. Somebody said 21. Somebody said 24. I was in nursing school in a program they don't offer anymore. Yeah, I know that can kind of suck because it's like, damn, like you can't even take the program no more. Somebody said none. I love where I am now with the heart eyes. Somebody said 25. Life was different at that age. 25. I'm 29 now. 2016. That was a good year. Okay, I get that. Okay. Somebody said 20. One specific decision I made back then should have changed where I am now. And that's kind of a hard thing too when you think back on certain decisions that would have kind of gave your life a total 360. But again, don't always live in regret, or don't always live in a space to where you kind of wish you would have did something. You still have time. I know circumstances may be a little bit different, but maybe there's something greater waiting for you ahead. Somebody said 21 because I would be rich now. You are damn right. Whew. Okay. So the next question I asked was, what do you feel like is the biggest misconception about your 20s? And so that's leading back to the question that I kind of didn't want to get into. The reason being is because I feel like the biggest misconception is you're young, you have time. I feel like you are young and you do have time, but especially looking at the way the millennials are now, a lot of people that I know that are very, very, very successful, it's because they started when they were young. Of course, think about it. You're younger, you're more carefree, and you probably know more people. A lot of people, when they kind of get older, they don't become non-sociable, but it kind of like limits or lowers themselves a little bit. Like on Friday, me and my friend were at our birthday dinner, and I'm like, well, is anybody else coming? She's like, girl, I don't have friends like that. And I kind of felt the same exact way I did as she did last year on my birthday, because thinking back to it, when I used to celebrate my birthday, it used to be like this big extravagant event to where it was like 50 or 60 people coming out to celebrate me. Now it has kind of dwindled down a little bit. So I feel like, especially if you're an entrepreneur, if you start young, again, whatever you do, whatever seeds that you plant when you're younger, you're giving it room to grow. Again, a lot of people that I know that are very, very successful in their life right now, they started when they were like 18, 19, when they were young. Because you got to think about it. You know the people that you went to high school with, or you are going into college. And everybody knows colleges have big campuses. Even if it's a technical school, you're still meeting new people on a day-to-day basis. You're communicating more. You're thriving a little bit more. You kind of have a little bit more pep in your step. We all know once you get a little bit older, they say you're only old as you feel, but you kind of get a little tired. Things start cracking. Bones, things start feeling a little bit different. So I feel like that is the biggest misconception, is that, oh, you got time. You do, but then again, you don't. So why wait tomorrow to what you can get done today? So going to the responses, somebody said no one had a work ethic. I can't talk. I've been a hustler, which is pretty true. People are really lazy. That you should be in college. Again, college is definitely a choice. If you feel like you need it, go for it. If you feel like you don't, whatever makes you happy. Again, don't do something just because you feel like that's what your parents want you to do, or you see your friends doing it, or you feel like that's kind of like the wave. Always do what's best for you and true to yourself. Somebody said YOLO. Because of this notation, many are drunks, whores, pill poppers, and are going to jail. Yes. I feel like that is a big misconception. You do only live once, but that does not mean you have to live stupidly or carelessly. Again, I have a drink from time to time. I think I drank a little bit more back then than I do now. But let's be clear here. That will damage your liver and your kidney. So think about that. Popping pills, I have never in my life. The furthest thing that I've done is probably smoke weed. Other than that, all ecstasy and coke and perks and all that type of stuff, I never understood that, and I never will. Don't become a drug addict, because again, it is easy to get addicted to it. I'm the type of person to where I barely even take Advils or aspirins, because it gives you a temporary feeling that you're going to keep trying to reach. And that's why people unfortunately turn into drug addicts and ruin their damn lives. Somebody said being a mom, pushing through, still completing school, hell, not falling off. That is a misconception. Like I said before, sometimes people think if you are a young mother, that you can't accomplish something that somebody that doesn't have kids. Will it be a little bit more harder? Yes, because you have somebody else that's looking up to you, and you may need to find a babysitter. You may be a little bit more tired. You may be running on less fumes than somebody else that does not have to take care of a child, but you are still able to do exactly what you set your mind to it. You just have to push yourself. Somebody said you're young, you have time. That was cap. It's cap. Somebody said not really a 20s misconception. Millennials are lazy. Somebody said I'm me. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes you got to be mean, especially if you're a woman. A woman said that, because if you don't stand stern on something, you may get walked all over, because people do try to take advantage. Somebody said that you should have everything figured out by 20, career goals accomplished, etc. That's one thing that I can kind of agree with too, because it's like you're young at the time and you don't really know if that's what you want to permanently do. So it's like things can change. Again, I say this all the time. Things can change in a week, 24 hours, 30 days, 6 months, a year. Things can change. So don't always think like, okay, because this is what you're doing right now, that's what you're going to continue to do when you get a little bit older. So one thing that I wanted to ask, do you feel like, or at least want to be married before the age 30? 33% said yes. I do want to be at that age to where, okay, I'm hitting my 30s. I'm kind of settling down, either buying a house or looking to buy a house, or just ready to kind of get nested to prepare for like 40s, 50s, and 60s. And 67% said no. Me personally, of course, I think everybody wants to be married at some point. Maybe not, only because it's like, okay, or have a life partner. Let me say that. Let me not say married. Somebody that you know is going to have your back, that you can depend on, count on, and be in love with and be happy. Everybody needs somebody or wants somebody to love. I don't feel like it's a deal breaker, because of course we see it all the time to where people find the love of their life at 50. I don't want to be in a situation to where I rush something, or I'm getting married just because I feel like the clock is ticking. It's like, okay, I'm almost 30. Let me hurry up and get married and have some kids and buy a house. And then you end up unhappy. How many people do we see that have gotten married young, early in their 20s, and it's like it was a shit show? There are some couples that I know, like, for example, I was on Instagram. I don't know them personally, but they said they've been married for 12 years, and they're younger than me. They were like 27. So it means they got married really young, but they're in love, they're happy, they're striving. So I say whatever works for you. If you're able to meet your soulmate and you're knocking on 30, or maybe you're in your early 20s and you guys agree, like, okay, this is something that we want to do. I know that you are the best thing for me and I'm compatible with you and we're going to be lifetime partners. Go for it. But don't do it because you see your friends doing it. I know a lot of people, if you're around people that are getting married or going to weddings, it kind of pushes you into a phase like, oh, I want that feeling. But don't jump into something just because everybody else is around you doing it. Take your time. Marriage is something that's serious. It's sacred. Just cherish it. So don't rush. The next thing that I wanted to say, ask. Do you feel like you should have life all figured out before 30? 13% said yes and 87% said no. I am definitely a part of the 87% because, again, things change. Do I feel like you should have stepping stones and seeds planted to where it's going to lead you into something? Yes. I'm not saying be out here just living life every day like there's no tomorrow and not have something set up for yourself. But don't down yourself or get depressed or feel like you're not doing anything with yourself if you don't have it all figured out. Sometimes it takes time. Again, everybody has their winning season. What's for you will always be for you. You will not have to fight, do backdoor stuff to try to get it. What's for you is for you. It's already written. You just got to go get it. You just got to put the work in. So I'm a part of the 87%. I don't feel like you have to have it all figured out. 13%, like, yeah, I feel like 30 is a landmark. It's something that's pushing me to where I'm going to be later on in life. I want to have my shit together before I turn 30. So one thing that I wanted to ask, do you feel as if you were more forgiving in your 20s than you are now? 61% said yes, 39% said no. I am definitely a part of the 61%. And the reason why I say that is because I would have a group of friends, quote unquote, that I would kick it with, and we would fall out, and 2 months, 3 months later, we're back kicking it again, and then we fall out again. Relationships, I was very more forgiving back then because it's like, okay, we young. When you're young and in love, they say when you're older and in love, it hit hard. But when you young and in love, y'all think that, oh, me and this person is going to be together forever. This is my boo. This is my high school sweetheart. I don't want to lose you. Girl, I wish I would listen to my mama. Like she said, you're not going to even care about that person in a couple years. You're probably not going to even know where they at or communicate with them. And not even that, just with friends too. Like, you have to understand, like, again, things change. They change. Things may not always stay the same, but think about the future. Maybe there's somebody better waiting for you. Maybe there's a better group of friends that'll push you and motivate you to get things that you want to get done. I'll be honest, the group of friends that I have now, I love them deep, and they are definitely, no offense to y'all, I have fun with y'all, better than my friends that I had in my early 20s, because the tribe that I have now, like, literally, like, they dope. Business goals, talking about, okay, well, what's next for you, or what you want to do, friend, you know, I'm always here for you, I got your back, you can come talk, whatever. You don't need 50 people to have a good support system. Have a good few, maybe 5, whatever, and you'll be all right. So I do feel like I was more forgiving back then. Some people said no, like I'm either the same or I'm more forgiving now because I know life is short, or if I experience some things to where it's like, okay, I want to change. I personally now, because of things that I went through when I was younger, I'm more so low tolerance for stuff. I don't have a high patience for certain things. Certain things kind of irk me a little bit more than they probably should. But it's just because, like, when you go through stuff, it's like, okay, I don't want to be 30 going through this shit. Like, no. So I'm part of 61%. So one thing that I wanted to ask, and this was kind of like a serious question, if you could apologize to anyone from your early 20s, who would it be and why? Somebody said myself. You don't know you was that bitch, but now you do. Know your worth and add tax. Yes to the know your worth and add tax. Somebody said myself. Somebody else said my ex Sam because I was a bitch. Why you do Sam like that? How mean were you to Sam? What did you do to Sam? Somebody said my dad. He told me too much. Oh, he told me so much of what not to do that I did it anyway and I should have listened. I do definitely feel like our parents or grandparents or even uncles or aunts, just elders in general, they try to prevent you from making the same mistakes that they did because they already know what the outcome is going to be. Of course, a hard head makes a soft ass. And sometimes you do have to experience it yourself to know what they were trying to instill in you and get you to realize. But that's one thing, if I do have kids, that I do want to make sure to be totally honest with my children about. Like, if I'm telling you something, just listen. It's not me wanting to control you or try to run your life. I don't want to see you hurt. I don't want to see you in a bad situation. I don't want to see you going down a path to where I've been there, done that, and I know it's not worth it. If I can prevent you from falling, I will. Another person said my parents. They tried to put me on game and I never listened, and maybe a couple women. Somebody said not applicable. Somebody said myself. Somebody said I ain't apologizing to nobody. It is what it is. It's done deal. Somebody said myself for not putting me first. And somebody said no one again. Somebody said myself for not taking risks and still stepping out of my comfort zone. Life could be different. And that's why I kind of wanted to keep going through the questions before I touch that topic. I probably would apologize to myself too, because I don't think when we're young, we don't realize like everything that happens then doesn't define who you are going to be or what you're going to be. Again, even now, pushing 30 and being 29, I do still have some fears. I do have some worries. I have some doubts. Probably more back then than now, but it's like, just try to pull yourself out of that space and give yourself pep talks. If you need to listen to like motivational speakers, I know I love Sarah Jake Roberts. For example, she is Bishop T.D. Jake's daughter. And just listening to her about stuff that she went through with like teen pregnancy. And what you have to understand is her father is a whole bishop. So it's like being in the church, and she was out here just living life, having kids, was in a bad marriage, and she did a total 360. So it's like she said, I had to go through what I went through to get to where I am now. So it's like sometimes you experience stuff when you're younger and you just feel like, okay, I'm like going through the same thing. This is a repeat domino effect. It just keep happening. When is the cycle going to end? just know when you're younger, like if you are still in your young 20s and you're listening or watching this, just follow your heart, do what you need to do, and always trust yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing. Trust yourself. If your gut is telling you to do something, or if you have an idea, act on it. Don't wait. And if you have passed that peak and you are pushing 30 right now, it's okay. We all make mistakes. Again, we have some years to kind of recover and fix things and pick things up. So don't be discouraged. One thing that I want to say is, did you create a 5 or 10 year plan for yourself in your 20s? 45% said yes and 55% said no. I definitely, especially getting out of high school, I was supposed to be a lawyer by now and driving a Jag. Now, do I still like to argue with people? And will I debate somebody down? Yes. So maybe I should have went to law school. I don't have a Jag. I got a Lexus. But yeah, I did have like a 5-year or a 10-year plan. I had wrote down a journal and everything about how life was going to be before I hit 30. 55% said no, I didn't really have a life plan. I kind of went with the flow. I do feel like it's good to kind of set goals for yourself, even if it's not a life plan. If you just write down a couple of things that you want to accomplish, whether it's within a week, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 5 months, year, blah, 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 blah. If you write things down, I feel like it's easier to keep track, and then it'll actually show you your progress of where you're going, because it feels good to write something down and then check it off like, okay, I got that accomplished. Just knock down your goals and do what you need to do. So following up to that question, what I asked, were you able to execute your plan or come close to it? As you guys can see, I am not a lawyer and I do not drive a Jag. So I unfortunately was not able to accomplish it. But it's okay though, because I got new goals set for myself and I am working towards that. So 52% said yes. I put my goals in action. I made my 5-year or 10-year plan. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be now, or I am itching towards it, and I got it done. And 48% were like me, like, no, unfortunately, I did not get it finished. But again, you got time to get it finished now. If you have any goals that you set for yourself at the beginning of the year, or even today, tomorrow, whenever you listen to it, we're in August. You got 5 months left? Knock those goals down before we get to 2022. Another question that I wanted to ask, do you have any regrets? Somebody said, hell yeah, but didn't say what it was. Somebody said not completing college. I know that can kind of be kind of hard for some people that actually start or even get close to where if you're like 2 years, 3 years, and it's like, dang, you only had a year or two left, why you just didn't finish. But people go through things, so I understand. Somebody said no. Somebody said no again. Somebody said yes. Somebody said no. Somebody said, well, college. And then, first they said hell no. And then they must have went back and said yes, college. Somebody else said yes. Somebody said go back to your earlier post, not being true to myself, when they said they would apologize to themselves. I wouldn't say I have any regrets. I do kind of wish in certain situations I either would have went with my first gut, or I would have just took a little bit more serious. So more so not regrets, just some things that I kind of look back on and thought like, I probably could have handled that a little bit differently, but it is what it is. We're past it. We're beyond it. Just make sure you're not making the same mistakes back then that you're making now. Another question that I wanted to ask, what's your favorite memories from your 20s? Somebody said my kids, and I know this person personally, and her kids are so cute. She's had, I think, 2 more babies since then, but she has a really nice family. Somebody said pregnancy. Pregnancy is definitely a beautiful thing. I know it's rough too, so I'm not trying to like sugarcoat it, but just being able to go through the experience of feeling somebody else growing inside of you is a lot of things that I heard when your baby is first born, being able to hold your child. And like a lot of people say, the love from your child that you experience during pregnancy and even raising them is undescribable. It's an unconditional love, because you know, like, my kid will always love me. So I can definitely see that. Somebody said seeing myself grow over time. Yeah, that is a big one. Like, just kind of looking back, like, in your memories, like, dang, or looking at old pictures, like, that was me. Somebody said vacations. I definitely feel like vacations probably were a little bit more lit when you were younger than now, because you was probably a little bit more careless, because I know who this person is. You funny. Somebody said moving to a different state on my own. I feel like that is a big thing too. Like, if you feel like you're in a city to where you've done all you can do, or you feel like it's swallowing you whole, or it's like a lot of negativity, move. I know it's easier said than done, but a lot of people that I know, even if they had to come back, moving kind of changed their perspective, and they were able to come back as beasts, to where it's like, okay, I moved. It wasn't as successful as I wanted to be, but now that I'm back, I know exactly what I'm going to do the next time I do decide to move. Or if I choose to stay here and plant my roots and my seeds, I know how to kind of maneuver around it. Somebody said did a lot of traveling. That was memorable. Again, trips are always memorable. Somebody said undergrad. Somebody said living with my mom, not paying bills. Okay. Like, I've always paid my cell phone bill from like 17, but rent, car note, car insurance, hell, I didn't know it was as expensive as it was to buy soap, paper towel. I run through paper towels and tissue like water. Like, seriously. And I have OCD, so I'm always grabbing a paper towel. The shit gets expensive. Having my son, and somebody said the motherfucking bruise. That person's in a frat. So the next thing that I wanted to ask, what's the last thing you want to accomplish before you turn 30? Somebody said losing 150 pounds. God, I only want to lose 50 pounds, and I feel like I'm struggling right now. But girl, I got you. You're going to lose that 150 pounds. Somebody said, well, mine was correcting my credit, and I'm currently doing it. That's something I'm working on right now, too, is working on my credit. A lot of people, cash does rule a lot of things, but I just always wanted to have a decent credit score to where if I needed credit for something, I know I can go into a bank or apply for something online and get it. Somebody said getting married. Somebody said establishing a career. Somebody said making more money. More money is always a good thing. Somebody said purchasing a single family home. I hope you get that and accomplish that, girl. Somebody said, well, I'm 30 now, but before 31 is to get married and next buying a home. And that person is engaged and your wedding is this year, so you on your way. And that was pretty much it. Me personally, one thing that I want to accomplish before I am 30, I have been thinking about this, and it's an idea that just came to mind. I do want to start a nonprofit organization. I do want to help at-risk teenage girls. I feel like a lot of things that I did in my teens and even in my early to mid 20s, I made some bad choices. I kind of put myself in situations to where I was around the wrong crowd, dating the wrong dudes. And it's like, as a female, sometimes you feel as if like I can't talk to my mom won't understand. Or if she finds out I did this or that, my mom is going to kill me. Or maybe it's just one of them things to where you just feel like you needed to experience something. So I personally want to help at-risk teenage girls to let them know like, hey, you can take a different choice, a different route in life, and you can save yourself some heartache. You can save yourself some bad times. And you can definitely do anything that you put your mind to. So I just turned 29 in July. So I have another full 11 months to get my nonprofit organization going and actually running successfully. So be on the lookout for that too. So that is all for this episode of What's Up Bree, titled 20s. I'm thinking about closing the season out on season 10. I don't know. I kind of want to do a couple more episodes. We will see. If anything changes, I will let you guys know. But again, as always, make sure to follow me on Instagram at What's Up Bree, WHATSSS. I think it's UP_BRI. Don't quote me on that. I'll make sure to put it at the end. My YouTube is What's Up Bree, and then also you can listen to this and catch it on Spotify and Anchor. Again, thank you for joining me, giving me your time, being a listening ear, and I will see you on the next episode of What's Up Bree. Hey, What's Up Bree, and we out.
What's up, Bree?